What up? I think we've got a special video today for a couple of reasons. One, because I've not made a video on this channel in probably months at this point. And two, because we've got a 2-hour, 24-minute long audio recording of your boy Caspian, which somebody sent me. Actually, multiple people sent it to me, and they wanted me to take a look at it. This video might be like a chop up of, the most interesting parts, the greatest hits, as you would. Or I might just do like a whole... No, there's no way I'm going to do a whole 2-hour, 24-minute react, because it'll end up being like 5 hours long. I'd probably end up jumping off my balcony. But before we get into that, if you like energy drinks, or you don't like energy drinks, I'm great at this. You can buy GamerSups. They've decided to give me an affiliate partnership. I've been using this stuff for about a month while we've hashed out details and stuff. Basically, if you want to use it, sugar-free, keto-friendly, they have a caffeine-free version, a version which is basically an energy drink without all the nasty stuff and things in. You can get waifu cups, which obviously, you know me, love a good waifu. You can get normal cups if you're a normal person. Obviously, why would you want to do that? If you use my code, KiraTV, and there will be a link in the video description, I think on probably all videos at this point, you get 10% off. Not only that, but if you actually are one of the first 200 people or something to order, you'll get some free Kira stickers. I actually need to read this because I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. I could be completely wrong. So basically the sample pack, if you want to go that route, you just get a bunch of samples so you can try it out essentially for the shipping cost for free with my code. And the first 250 people can get that. If you just want to buy the thing and you already know what it's like and you already use it and you just want to support me, I get a kickback, obviously, if you use my code. You get 10% off, win-win. And yeah, you just basically enter my code, buy the stuff, and cool, congratulations. I get money. You get GamerSups and waifu cups. Fucking awesome. Right, Caspian, that was way too long. I need to streamline that one.
We had our core team, which was continuing development with, the other one was Chris Holtorf. So we were trying to move forward with the adventuring mechanic, or actually we were succeeding in moving forward with the adventuring mechanics, while then also trying to move forward on the domain settlement and land management mechanics through Kingdoms of Elyria. Well, after March, I didn't have the resources to do both anymore. And in fact, there was supposed to just be a small team of people who were working on Kingdoms of Elyria so that we could continue to move forward on that and get answers to those questions while also...
The problem is as well, we're kind of jumping mid into conversation because I think the first 10 minutes in this recording are missing. But I assume he's talking about after March. I think March was it March 2020 when they went into the abyss? I lose track, honestly. It must have been 2020 because of COVID, right? Yeah, it was March 2020. So he's talking about after they closed down the studio and stuff like that at this point.
Generating revenue for the studio. And that's what we're doing right now. So all of the mechanics that we're implementing around domain settlement and land management mechanics, which I call the holding mechanics now, those are also Kingdoms and Chronicles of Elyria mechanics. The same mechanics are actually used in both games. And we only have to implement them once. I'm also working a lot on the Soulborn engine right now, the networking component of that, which while we did implement in 2017, was implemented in a completely different environment.
I actually saw this going on live, and I was so tempted to join the channel and just start asking unhinged questions and being a nuisance. The 20-year-old me that used to join people's random Discord servers, well, back then TeamSpeak and Mumble, while they're raiding in World of Warcraft and just start playing, Doom soundboards and stuff like that, it almost took over. Realistically, I probably would have joined and asked, where's the game? Can somebody play the game? Can you show us the game? And not being a complete weirdo. But I decided against it. I just woke up and I didn't think it'd be very polite for me to do so. And I've been trying to be more polite recently.
I'm not going to get technical because I know you said that's not what you wanted. But it was implemented before in a way that was not super scalable. So I've been working on re-implementing that. And that is also fundamental to Chronicles of Elyria. In fact, if anything, that networking side is more important for Chronicles of Elyria than it is for Kingdoms of Elyria, because Kingdoms of Elyria is not intended to be multiplayer initially, though it will be. So... all that said, I'm working on mechanics for both. Most of the adventuring mechanics are done, actually, at this point. But I'm working on the holding mechanics and then also working on the back-end network so that we can get this up and running as an MMO again, because it's not been an MMO.
Why are you saying again, though? What do you mean again? Nobody's ever played the game. We need to get it up and being an MMO again. Again, would say that it used to be an MMO. No one's ever played it. For something to even be an MMO, you'd have to have massive numbers of players online. Not a singular fucking person has played this game.
For quite some time, in the sense that we have not been using the client to connect to the server. So anyways, hopefully that was informative.
Yeah, and so where exactly are you on the process then? Because like with the new updates and stuff, and you being a one-man show, unless Snipe Hunter and a couple other people are helping you out, freelance or something, do you feel like you're stretching yourself out too thin again? Because like you're delving more into what is it, spatial?
I just can't help but laugh when somebody says, do you feel like you're stretching yourself out? Just makes me think of Goatsy. Just greater times of the internet.
I'm working with them about that, so.
So I think you mean Stride? That's probably what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. That's a hard one to answer. So let me answer it this way. I am always stretched too thin. There's no question about that.
I've always stretched myself out real good.
I'm a one-man person or a one-man show right now trying to build an MMO. So there's no question that I'm stretched thin. That being said, I know a lot of people have their thoughts about me as a leader. I have thoughts about me as a leader, and they're not all positive, but they've gotten better over the years. That being said, programming is something I have always been good at. And when I estimated how long it would take to develop Chronicles of Elyria, I did it with the assumption that I would have 6 other developers like me working full-time for 18 months. We were only able to get our second programmer after about 6 months, so it took a long time to even get our second programmer, and we never had more than 5, and only for a very short period of time, and they were not 6 versions of me.
The problem is, I'm just too damn motherfucking good, says Caspian, man who perpetually has never released a video game. The problem is, I just couldn't find anyone who's as good as me, and I'm sick. I'm absolutely amazing. So if I had 6 of me, 6 Caspians, mate, I'd have knocked this game out of the park in 18 months. That's crazy, bro.
That's not. I'm not trying to. That's not a humble.
He's glazing real good.
Brag. What I'm saying is that progress is actually going faster than most people would expect for just a single individual, because I am good at that side, and so progress is being made, and it's being made faster than people would expect for a single individual. But it's never going to be as fast as people would like, and it's not going to be as fast as I would like, either. In terms of Stride, I will confess I got a little excited about it. Last week and a little bit this week. I joined the community while I was investigating different engines during the Unity stuff, because Kingdoms of Elyria is based on Unity. It had always been planned to be built on Unity. We did try and experiment with Unreal, and it didn't go well. But even if you go back to 2016, when we talk about Kingdoms of Elyria, we even back then said this will probably be a web or Unity interface. The problem is that the license changes that Unity made would have made developing Kingdoms of Elyria prohibitively expensive for us. And that's not something we can really do. Like, the whole part of the goal, like 50% of this is to generate a revenue stream for Soulbound Studios so that we can get back on track. Because I know a lot of people, I'll just say it. I know nobody believes it. There's nothing I can do to change that. But my reason for suspending development in March of 2020 and the layoff was to stop crowdfunding. I didn't want to try and continue to move forward with the company using crowdfunding.
Fuck off. Mate, don't piss on my face and tell me it's raining. Nobody was giving you... this is literally like your boss walks in and goes, "You're fired," and you go, "You can't fire me, I quit." Like, no, you've already been fired. Like, you can't quit. We've already fired you. You can't say, "Oh, the reason I closed the studio," which I didn't close, by the way. He said repeatedly he didn't close the studio, and he was just... it was a turn of phrase that he used accidentally. The reason he was forced to do that is because there was no money left. He said this. There was no money left. No investors would give him money. Crowdfunding had completely stopped. Nobody was giving him money enough to keep the studio running. Maybe there was like drips and drabs from like the recent events that they'd done and stuff. But obviously, if Oh my god, this just breaks my brain to even think how logically anybody could believe this and why he's saying it. Okay, if you're crowdfunding for, I don't even remember how many years it was, because it's just, my brain is soup of Chronicles of Elyria information. For an example, let's say you crowdfund for 3 years, just go with the numbers. You're crowdfunding for 3 years. If you are spending more money than you're bringing in month by month, what you raised in the beginning is eventually going to run out. This is just common sense. This is numbers make sense in this way. So if you're crowdfunding and you're getting less and less and less and less money to the point where you have to close your studio, you didn't choose to stop crowdfunding. The crowd decided to stop funding you, and then turning around and going, I just didn't want to crowdfund anymore. You fucking couldn't. You couldn't crowdfund anymore. You had no money. Mate, the fact he's saying this is just blowing my fucking beans.
Crowdfunding. I needed to find another path forward that didn't rely on crowdfunding. And so that's what this whole thing has been about. It's just trying to find a path forward that doesn't rely on crowdfunding. So
you had years to do this, pal. You had years to do this, and you couldn't. So what makes you... That's the thing, like, that always confuses me, how anybody could believe this. And there are people that do. For some reason, there are people that do. If you had money, a team, ostensibly like a reputation of, oh, this game might come out at one point and some people are excited for it, and look at how many people crowdfunded it and blah, blah, blah. If you had all that and nobody else would give you money privately, why would they do it now? It just doesn't make any sense. Obviously, you've got to release the game and it's got to be good and people have got to pay for it, and then you use that money to parlay into running the MMO. But I just don't think that's realistic. I really don't, especially from what we've seen, even a competence level, but from the game that we've seen as well, the Kingdoms of Elyria thing. I can't believe anyone would play that.
Not getting any revenue off of Kingdoms of Elyria then would be a problem for us. And so I was investigating other engines that we could use, and Stride was one of them. I got excited about it. I joined the community. I'm using my own personal money to donate $25 a month towards it to help. I'm now silver, what they call a silver strider. And I have kind of checked in a couple things and fixed some bugs in the last 2 weeks. But I need to back off from that. As much as I'd like to participate with them, and there is value in doing so in the long term, in the short term, it's not something that I can really afford to spend my time on. So I don't expect I'll be doing much more with that in the short term.
If you don't know what he's talking about, by the way, Chronicles of Elyria was supposed to be being built in Unreal Engine. Kingdoms of Elyria is being built in Unity, and then because the Unity terms of service changed, where they were going to be charging people a bunch of money, he then went and started looking into whether they could use Stride and swap the games over to a new game engine, which would be the third game engine being used in the game nobody's played. It just... just believe, guys. Trust in the process. Nobody's talking.
Did I answer the rest of your question? I was going to move down the list. I saw some other people asking some questions, so I just wanted to make sure I could address some of them. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Let's see. Okay, Adam. Hey, Adam. Licensing deal. I can share pretty much everything except for information about who they are. And kind of their projects, because it's not for me to say.
Wait, he's got a licensing deal.
Non-disclosure agreement. Not everybody wants to advertise that they are using a licensed engine, and even fewer people want to admit that they're using my engine.
Bro, I knew this was going to happen eventually, but I didn't want to believe. So obviously the Soulsborne engine that he's been spending a bunch of time obviously getting ready. This is the thing with crowdfunding. I've always said this, and it's like I guess you could say an insidious element of it. And it's the same with things like Camelot Unchained. You fund these people, they might never make a game, but they'll probably make a game engine, like a back-end engine, something like that, something networking. And then even if they fail, they still own all that technology, and they can sell it, they can license it out to people, and you've essentially just funded somebody doing that, and then they just have this thing that could be worth millions, tens of millions of dollars. I don't think obviously many people are going to be like, oh, Soulsborne engine, definitely want to use that and associate my brand and my name with that thing. Also, there's no proof of concept for it because nobody's seen it work. But I guess that's what he's talking about here, and that's something that he owns. He owns the Soulburn engine that he created using other people's money.
So that's not really for me to say anything. But in terms of, let's see, your question was, can you share whether or not it will result in being in a better position to bring on additional staff in any capacity? I certainly hope so. I don't know how much revenue it's going to generate, and it's certainly not going to generate any for some time because they're just starting development on the project that they're planning to use this on. I don't know what the life cycle is going to be for it. I think they're expecting it to be 6 to 9 months, something like that. It's a mobile. I think I mentioned this before, but they're doing a mobile MMO, and so they're going to be using the Soulborn engine for the back end for their mobile MMO. But until that happens, I'm not going to see any revenue off of it. And even then, I just don't know how profitable it'll be. Let's see.
Caspian.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, brilliant. I've just finally realized that my push to talk button wasn't set, so I've been talking to myself for
Oh no.
I don't want to hijack this, but now I'm here, I sort of feel like I've taken a step too close to say nothing. I'm one of the moderators on the class action lawsuit, so full disclosure there.
That's fine.
And to your point earlier about getting death threats and in either direction, I would like to say that I speak for at least the moderating team on our channel, that nobody there has any truck or patience with anyone that threatens violence or wishes violence or verbalizes violence towards you or anybody that works or supports the Soulbound, the Soulborn engine or Chronicles of Elyria, etc.
Sure.
That's not what anybody there is about, and we'd have short truck with anybody that starts trying to articulate that stuff. However, obviously there is a lot of strong feeling on both sides.
So yeah, I've said this a million times. If you're the kind of individual who will send death threats, who will harass, who will abuse people, like, some people are going to say, oh, you do it by making videos. I don't link these videos to Caspian. He doesn't have to watch them. These are for my audience. Like, I'm not going after him personally. There's no personal insults about him. There's no like calls to action for people to do anything. I think if you're somebody who does anything like that, you are an actual bottom feeding cretin, like just a pure loser. You need to get a hobby, you need to get friends, you need to find somebody to hug you, go outside, touch grass, do all the things, because sending death threats to people online about about anything, unless they've come over to your house and kicked your dog or done something crazy, like, just seek help. Sincerely, get help. Don't be sending people death threats. Don't be like, I get enough as it is. So I understand Caspian definitely would have done, because nobody gives me money generally other than donating on Patreon or whatever, and they don't expect to get anything back from that. But if somebody gives you money for something, then they think that you scam them. Of course, people are going to send death threats. I've seen loads of people all the time whenever I cover anything like this. They'll say, oh, he's just making up the death threats because he wants to get sympathy or whatever. You give a negative opinion about a video game online, people send you death threats. Like, literally, I could get a message tomorrow that'll be like, oh, I saw you walking around the other day. I'll go, oh, cool, did you? Where was it? And they'll say, oh, next time I see you, I'm going to kill you. Like, get those fairly frequently. So the idea that people think he doesn't get them definitely does. And if you send them, you are a fucking loser.
But for me, when I was listening to you list all the plans for Chronicles of Elyria, Kingdoms of Elyria, the Mud, etc. Honestly, the thing that bugs me most about this, I am a technical person. I'm not a developer, but I do work in IT. I work on databases, so I talk to developers all the time, and you get to distill things that are worth paying attention to when you're listening to people say things that you don't always 100% follow. And one of the things that I've learned to flag early on is evidence. Whatever somebody is saying, there's got to be evidence for it. It's got to be credible. And that's the thing I see that you suffer from the most, is a lack of that. You had it at the beginning when
you've got no. I'll translate this for you guys. You've got no credibility. Show me the money.
Everyone's dreams were not necessarily grounded in reality. They were what we wanted them. They were what we wanted the game to be, and you were telling us that was what we were going to get. And then over time, as often happens, reality bites and compromises need to be made, etc. But the dream that we were told at the beginning we were going to get via the marketing that we saw in the Kickstarter and at the early stages of the game, they bore no resemblance whatsoever to what we saw at the later stages. Plus, we never actually saw enough of a game to be able to say that we were on the way.
Nobody's seen any game. Nobody's seen shit.
To see launched. It was like tech demos and things that was spun together in such a junior fashion that literally people on the internet were copying and exceeding what you were putting forward with like a week or a month of effort, and that's quite a difficult thing to square the circle on. When you're meant to be the developer, CEO, and sort of creative head of a game studio, and then there are people on the internet effectively mimicking and exceeding what you're releasing as something to be taken seriously. They're doing that same work and doing it better within a week. Now I know that the response to that is going to be yes, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the back end that they're not trying to emulate. But again, there's people who've written their own MMOs.
I understand the point he's trying to make, but the problem with this is like the core focus for this question and this tangent should have been, you've never shown us anything. So, but the things you have shown us are things that anybody can make. Like, if you were going to put this in as few words as possible, what he's trying to say is the things that you have talked about, nobody's ever seen. The things you're talking about now, nobody's ever seen. And the things that you showed us, people can make in a week. One person can make in a week. We've never seen any of the stuff that you've said takes all the time and effort. So where's that? And why should we believe you now? I believe this is what he's trying to say.
And come onto the channel with nothing but Patreon accounts, and done that with one or two people within a year or so, or a couple of years, granted. But they've got more credibility, again, than you have. And everything that you've described at the start of the call to, I think it was Commander Taggart, apologies if I've got that wrong. It's okay. It's exactly the same as what we heard way at the beginning. It all sounds reasonable, but it only sounds reasonable and credible if you have not yet been on that journey, and we have. It's like you're describing a holiday that we should have had 3 months after it turned into a mitigated disaster. We've already been on this journey now. That plan doesn't hold water anymore, and that's all I'm going to wrap this up in a bit. Thank you for listening so far, I guess, but that plan isn't what's going to convince us anymore. There needs to be some actual results, and at this late stage, I think that's the problem. You had us at the beginning, but now, bearing in mind the journey we've all been on and the money that we've lost, and we have lost it, you are not going to be releasing the game that we initially wanted. You're going to be releasing something else, which may or may not be.
Yeah, again, this is the problem. Whenever you crowdfund somebody and they start because they never tell you this shit, man. Nobody comprehends or understands or is told. Or if they are, they just can't conceptualize it. If somebody makes an engine instead of just making a game, like, they have that thing forever. And on top of that, like, you just won't get the game because it takes so much money to make that stuff. Like, they should have just used tools with anybody making your first ever solo project, because this dude Caspian, I'm fairly sure, worked at like Microsoft and stuff. He has actual legit. I've seen people say, "Oh, there's no evidence he can actually code," or blah blah blah. He has actual credentials for working at good studios and things that would give him accolades for being able to do this stuff. Not project manage, not manage a studio, not do all that back end and leadership stuff. But in terms of coding, he can code. But when you're making your first ever solo gig, right, your first ever project, you shouldn't be making your own engine unless you've done that before and you're confident you can just knock that out of the park. It, like, even if bare minimum it's just you. But the idea that you're now this far along and nobody's seen anything you've said that you've worked on, like in terms of an actual visible game being played, I think that's the issue. It's always the same. People say like, "Oh yeah, we're going to make this game." Make the game then. Don't be making any other shit behind the scenes. Just make the game.
Good enough. It may or may not be even the same scope. It might be Kingdoms of Elyria, and that's it. It's hard to take you seriously now, and I don't mean that harshly. I just want you to be aware that we're not all gunning for your guts, but we do have serious issues in taking you credibly.
I wish I would have joined and just said, "Caspian, why don't you just load up a live stream right now? If you give the code out to 5 people and have you all log into the game now and play it and show us." Because I'd love to know what the response is. I don't know if anyone asked, because apparently this was over 3 hours long and there's some missing. But how is nobody asked this very simple question? Like, why can't you just show us you playing the game? Nobody's ever seen it. Like, they saw what looked like RuneScape, people running around in what looked like RuneScape a couple months before they closed down the studio. But nobody's actually seen, like, actual good graphics. Nobody's seen a multiplayer element of this game, ever.
When you say you've got all these plans, and these plans are the same plans that you had 6 years ago, if not more. I think I'll let other people get a word in edgeways now, and thank you for putting up with that.
No, there's no need to thank me for putting up with that. I want to thank you, actually. First of all, it doesn't matter to me that you're in the lawsuit Discord.
He's a mod.
I've not gotten really a chance to express my thoughts on the lawsuit. So I'll do that here, because I feel like this is a good audience for it. I think that it is important for people to be able to take a stand for what they believe in. And I think it's important that there is a legal system in place that when people feel that they have been taken advantage of, they've been defrauded, they've been, any of those things. I think it's important that there is a system in place for them to have a recourse. So I do not blame anyone, and I hold no ill will towards anyone who is in or has been in the lawsuit Discord. I am not. I don't know of anybody who is. I occasionally hear rumors of conversations that are going on there, but I don't have any direct access to it, nor do I think it would be healthy for me to. But that being said, I don't mind. So you don't need to, that's not something that you require as a disclosure, because it doesn't actually change my thoughts of you or anything that I was going to say. That being said, while I understand, most people don't understand what the lawsuit is actually about. They don't understand the causes of action, and they don't understand what the claims are that are actually being made as part of that lawsuit. And I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to try and tell you guys what it is. What I can say, though, is what most people think that Soulbound is being sued over is not what they're actually being sued over. And as well as the reasons or the motivations behind the lawsuit, if they are genuine, which I think they are by the vast majority of people, they're saying, we don't believe this is ever going to get done. We want our money back, etc. And that's fine. That's understandable. I am not sure that is the motivation for everybody. My understanding is that for some people, this is not about recovering their money. They know that Soulbound has no money. They know that, we don't even have the ability to give refunds. We are not the merchant of record. We are not the publisher. We don't have your credit card information. We don't have the ability to deposit.
What you're talking about here is Exola, the company that they were using. And unfortunately, when you do like my job, I guess, there's a lot of things I hear behind the scenes that are completely credible, but I can't talk about publicly. So I've got some information regarding, like, I think I've talked about it briefly before, but I can't remember specifically what I said, and I don't want to like throw anybody under the bus accidentally. But Exola were very unhappy with Caspian, and there was talks of essentially shopping his game around to other studios to try and get people to finish the game. But just allegedly, that is something that has happened, and obviously Exola feel like hard done by. Don't have any sympathy for Exola, fuck Exola generally, but they feel hard done by because they got dragged into this based on the fact that they were the merchant vendor facilitating the transactions between the people giving money on the website of Chronicles of Elyria for all the crowdfunding, and then people obviously are saying like, oh, in your thing here it says you can get refunds, but they'd already paid the money out to Chronicles of Elyria and it had been spent, so people are trying to hold Exola accountable. So that's what he's talking about.
Money on your credit card. Even if we had the money to do that, it would have to be Exola that does that. So we would have to give money to Exola, and then they would have to do that because we don't have your credit card information or anything like that, which we do not have that money. It was used in development. But even if we did, it would not be us. That being said, it has been communicated to me, again, not directly, but many inside of the lawsuit don't care that we don't have the money. They don't care that they're not going to get back their money from the lawsuit. Their intention is not to try and recover their losses, but solely to sink Soulbound Studios and to punish us for their perceived wrongdoings. And that's a problem for me, because it's not putting the best interest of the community at heart.
Okay. I understand what he's trying to say, but let me give you I don't have like a hard opinion on this either way because I'm not involved. Despite what people may think, oh, you've made loads of videos about Chronicles of Elyria, blah blah. I spent no money on this. Literally, I've only ever made money from making videos about Chronicles of Elyria and chronicling the Chronicles of Elyria. So I didn't lose anything from this. I have no dog in the race. I literally couldn't care less other than providing brevity and whatever else to the people who still want to keep up with this saga that have been doing so for years and years since I started covering it. Basically, the idea, he's talking about, if people have like this intent of punishing me because I took their money and I'm not going to deliver this game, they're wrong in doing that. I don't think that they are. Because at the end of the day, you were the only person, you paid yourself money, their money, to do a thing you said you could do, and you haven't done it. If they believe you're never going to, why would they not want to punish you for doing that? Now, I'm a live and let live kind of guy. I personally wouldn't do this. I'd just move on with my life, especially considering the money going into the lawsuit is money that more money people are spending. But I also don't think that they're wrong for doing so if that's their prerogative, if that's what they want to do. Because at the end of the day, again, you do own something from this. You Caspian, are the sole beneficiary of this entire circumstance. You gained. Every other person lost, other than the other employees that got paid and had gainful employment for however long they're there, months or years that they were there. But you are the only person now who has an ongoing potential gain from other people's loss. So the idea that they want to punish you and you think that's a problem, from their perspective, I can see why. From your perspective, I can see why you'd say that. But at the same time, I think it's just a reasonable like middle ground. Everybody, can have their opinion on this one. I wouldn't hold this against anybody for doing, because you gained. Like, you're the only one who did at their expense.
Whether or not people have faith in us or believe in us, I have made a commitment to delivering something to the backers that is, and we'll talk about what it's actually going to be or not. You made some statements there that I wanted to address. But the point is nobody here is trying harder to make sure that the backers got what they want than me. And that includes trying to create ways for them to recoup their money that doesn't involve, trying to materialize water from a stone, which is why, previously we talked about allowing people to use their their packages and their titles and stuff like that as part of a NFT system at some point, so that they could buy and sell and trade them with other players, because they're.
I knew he was gonna say it, but I almost forgot that this was a thing back in the day, where he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna allow you to put your packages so you can sell, like, I'm a duchy of this area in a game that doesn't exist, and you can turn it into an NFT and sell it." It's just perfect. It's perfect for crowdfunding. It's perfect for NFTs and the Web3 and blockchain gaming space. This is just distill down all the problems with everything I've just said, and this is it. Amazing, fucking amazing.
There are people who will want accounts, and there are those who want to keep their accounts but move to a different location, etc. And so I'm trying to find a way to give people their money back. Furthermore, if I had the money, I would just give refunds, because having to check my locks every night because people are still threatening me and following me around on the internet and calling me a scammer, and I've been uninvited to events in the industry because somebody happened to watch a YouTube video from somebody and believed it to be true without any evidence, and so I'm blocked from participating in other industry events now. Like, I don't want that. If I could just get people who are unhappy with the product or unhappy with...
I will say loads of people do call him a scammer. I think I'd have to go back and check my earliest footage, but I want to say I've been pretty consistent in telling people he's not a scammer and there's nothing malicious about what he did. Because I still, to this day, for some reason, get people who watch my videos message me and be like, "Oh yeah, he ran off with all the money." Guys, I don't know where you've heard that. Like, even my first ever video where I was talking about the studio's going belly up soon, they've got no money left. I literally did the math. I found out where they were renting their office. I found out roughly what they were spending on payroll from records and stuff like that. And I figured out they're about to run out of money, and their fans would show up and be like, "Oh, you're a liar, blah, blah, blah." A couple months later, out of money, studio closed. That's the history. The whole time, they've spent the money on trying to develop the game. The problem is that he's not good at doing it, and they failed. Like, there's no... As far as I'm aware, there is no malevolence here. There's no malicious intent from his part. There was no scamming and running off and doing crazy shit. He just wasn't good at his job, and he wasted your money fucking around. I guess there's a different way to put that. Not fucking around, but making decisions that wasted money and didn't materialize the game that it should have done. For the amount of money that they raised, they should have been able to get like an alpha into people's hands. Bear in mind, companies like, even if you look at Camelot Unchained, which is an absolute fucking mess, people have been playing that game for years. It's shit, and it's probably never going to come out. Crowfall, people were playing that game within months of their crowdfunding. They just had an alpha client you could log in and play, and they just perpetually updated it. There's like a different school of thought where you can have games like that where you think like, "Oh, we're putting too much time into maintaining the live environment, and it's actually detracting from us being able to develop the game at an efficient rate," which you can. There are workarounds of just not bug fix, and basically if it goes on the thing, then it's going to probably be broken, and people should accept that. Or you can just never put anything up. So that's always been the question mark of if there is actually stuff there. But every person I've spoke to, which I've spoke to some people who have worked at the studio, they were getting paid and they were developing a game. Like, that is it. He isn't a scammer. He's just somebody who took people's money to do a thing and didn't manage to do the thing. That's it. So people still maintaining he like took all the money and he spent it on coke and hookers, and he's living in a huge mansion. I don't know where you've got that from. Obviously people use like scam as like a tagline of videos and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not a scam. I don't know where that's coming from.
With this, or who just want their money back. If I could give them their money back, I would do that, because that would make my life a fuck ton more easy, right? Like, that would be easier for me than trying to do what I'm doing. So anyways, that all being said, like, again, the point is like, I don't mind that people are trying to get their money back. I don't mind that there's the lawsuit. I just wish people understood that there is no money to give, and that the process is actually making this a lot harder than it needed to be. You talk about how there's no progress, like we're not seeing anything, but what you're not understanding is, yeah, but like almost $500,000 of money has come out of my personal pocket over the last 3 years in order to keep the privilege of being able to continue doing development. that money could have gone towards development. Like, this is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I get attacked in some cases, for not delivering anything, and the attack causes me to have to funnel resources into defending myself instead of development. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to delve into that too much because it's sad for me more than anything. I wish that I had those resources to just deliver what I'm trying to do. But anyways, again, what I wanted to say first and foremost was thank you. Actually, I think you said more eloquently what you are thinking and what I think most people in this channel are probably thinking than anybody else could have. Also, your accent's just really cool. I like your accent. That made it softer.
Glazing.
For me. Americans, we like the kind of European, British, Australian accents. They come off as softer. So I don't mind. I appreciated you having the courage to speak up and say those things. I don't think that everybody would have the courage to say it, and I appreciate that you did, because that gets it out of the way, and it means that people have now heard your thoughts and have the opportunity to agree with them. So anyways, in an attempt to address the things that you have said, I can't change history. I'm not trying to change history. In 2016, I came to the community and said, actually in 2015, I started a company. I worked on a bunch of prototypes. I came to the community and I said, here's what I'm going to build. It's going to take these resources. And we got the financial resources and then not the development resources. We had only one programmer for 6-8 months. Then we had 2 for a month or 2, then 3 for a month or 2. And it kept, going up until 5. And then suddenly we were back to having no developers again, and I had to pivot and make sure that my designers were technical enough to offset, and I had to jump in and start doing programming, and we just kept trying to make sure that we were moving forward as best we could, and I can't change that. Meanwhile, we always had artists and animators and other people that needed to get paid, and so we continued to crowdfund and make sure that we were able to keep moving forward. I don't have anything for you other than, we had a plan. The plan didn't go according to plan, and we have done our best to move forward irrespective of that. And you're also right that, now I'm an individual, not an entire company, and I'm saying, this is the plan. We're going to do these things. We're going to, put out multiplayer opportunities, demos. We're going to put out Kingdoms of Elyria. We're going to do these things, and we're going to eventually work our way up to Chronicles of Elyria. And that's the plan. I can't tell you I have a better plan. I can't tell you that there's a different plan. That's the plan.
I'm already tilted because in my brain the whole time he's talking, I'm just sitting there thinking like, you apparently have said multiple times the MMO's like 90% done or something. I don't know what the stat was, but he said loads of times that the MMO's like almost there, and it's like, and if an MMO takes roughly 5 to 7 years to create, and you were doing that for 4 or 5 years, if it's almost there, if you've got all that stuff, just put the game live and sell it in Steam Early Access. What are you waiting for, bro? I don't understand how this can simultaneously be true that we need money so bad and money would speed everything up and we've got all this stuff and it's ready and you've just never seen it, but you can't let anybody see it or play it even though it's their money that made it. I guess that's the whole like slap in my face thing that I can't believe, that one, nobody's joined this Discord call and just gone, Caspian, people paid you money to make this thing. It's not even yours. Like, technically on paper it is, but these people, they're the ones who made you even have the ability to make this thing. Let them fucking see it. Let them play it. Let there be light. You know what I mean? Like, shed some form of illumination on the darkness that is your project. But no, like, even for as much shit as I'll give to games like Dead Matter or whatever else, even if that's a massive mess, even if Camelot Unchained's a massive mess, even if Crowfall came out and was a mess, at least people could see what their money went toward. Nobody sees anything here other than fucking excuses and just babbling around with nonsense of placation, of, oh, one day we'll have this thing that nobody asked for and nobody wanted. Like, man, just let people see the fucking game, please. I've said it like 50 times. I feel like I'm in a loop. Just let people play the game. If you're almost there, just fucking post it, man.
And I think the thing that's important here, which you said, we don't trust it anymore. You're trying to sell us the same thing. You're never going to convince us with that. Like, you made a lot of statements about my goals and objectives here. My goal and an objective at this point is not to convince anybody. It's not that I don't care if you believe me, but whether you believe me or not doesn't change what I need to do. I need to get the networking finished up so that I can make my licensee happy. I need to continue moving forward on Kingdoms of Elyria so that there's a playable experience and so that you guys can get feedback to me and so that we have an opportunity to engage around content rather than just dialogue. I need to get revenue coming into this studio so that I can get funding so that I can rebuild the team so that I can move on to Chronicles of Elyria. That's the plan. It is what it is. I don't expect anybody here to be supportive of that. I don't expect anybody to be encouraged by that. I don't expect anybody to even believe that it's going to happen. I'm not trying to...
Oh no, we've lost him.
As you pointed out, like, my history and the history with the studio is not one that instills confidence. And I would be lying if I said that weren't true. So I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. All I'm trying to do when I say here's the plan is to message that here's the plan. And people can either wait patiently for the plan to unravel and to unfold. I guess unravel is different than unfold. One step at a time. They can watch as those steps happen one at a time. They can tune out and let those steps happen without them in their absence and then come back later. They can...
How much later, bro? We're going to die. The heat death of the fucking universe is going to come before this game does. Because we're so far... He posted like a roadmap of, we're going to have X, Y, and Z done, like bullet points, section A, B, whatever it was. And he's like 2 years behind schedule on that. And that's not even the MMO. Like, I don't know. How old are we going to be? In this game, you were supposed to buy souls or whatever and live and die in the MMO. Motherfuckers live and die in real life and they're never going to get to see this game.
Fuck it. I'm tired of this guy and this company, and they can, turn off all their filters and, quit the Discord server and move on with life. Like, those are all viable options. And I'm fine with any of them. Certainly, I want people to stay engaged, and I want people to be supportive, and I want people to be excited about, what things are coming forward. But I understand that they're not. I understand why they're not, and I don't blame them for that. So I can't contradict any of that you said about either the history and how we said we were going to do things and then it didn't happen. And I'm not going to try to. What I will contradict, though, is when I say this is the plan, this is what I'm working on, and this is what I'm going to do, and then you come forward and say you're not going to do this, you're not going to do this, and you're not going to do this, you're not going to deliver Kingdoms of Elyria, then we have a problem because now you are trying to get people to trust that you are right about my actions more than they are going to trust me. And you are not in a position to know what I'm doing or what my success rate is going to be here.
Oh my God. Did you just say it? What do you mean? We have the history of your continual non-delivery as evidence to prove that you don't deliver stuff. Even if you just forget Chronicles of Elyria exists and look solely at what he's done, with Kingdoms of Elyria, he's missed every single deadline. Other than sometimes he'll post like a blog or whatever, like just a bunch of fucking mumbo jumbo in a blog, in a text blog, on time. But some of them aren't even on time. I'd say that other people are actually a better judge of what you are going to do than you are, because you've said, I'm going to do this, didn't do it. I'm going to do this, didn't do it. I'm going to do this, didn't do it. So clearly, what the issue is what you think you can do is at a complete fucking different level of what you can do. So, mate, miss me with that one.
In terms of my ability to keep going. Now, you might say you're not going to get it done in the next month, 6 months, whatever, and you would be right. But there is a difference between saying you're not going to ship Kingdoms of Elyria and the product that you deliver to us is not going to be what you promised us. You can say that. I can't stop you from saying that. But you have no more source of truth of that than anybody else. Because I have said I'm going to. I don't care how long it takes.
Right.
I don't care how many lifetimes I have to spend on it. The most important thing to me.
What do you mean, mate? If you're dead, you can't. You're not gonna like, be on your deathbed coding Chronicles of Elyria still, are you? And if you do, and you don't finish it, it's just not gonna come out, is it? You're not fucking Jesus Christ himself. You're not gonna rebirth on Sunday or what? I don't know the story. Not big into fantasy. Actually, a lie. I'm super big into fantasy, just not that type. But obviously, you're not going to come back and I've been rebirthed, so I can continue to not deliver Chronicles of Elyria. The fuck are you talking about?
Is my wife, my kids, and my company, in that order. And I have told my wife this is important to me, and she's supportive of it. And I have told my kids I took money from people in order to build this game, and I spent the money building this game. I did what I told them to, but they put their faith in me, and my integrity requires that I keep pushing on this until I have done what I said I would do. That's important to me. If there is one lesson I want to teach my kids, is that when you commit to doing something, you do it. And so I am going to continue working on this as long as I can do so. And by do so, I mean unless I am somehow prevented from doing so. I'm not making any income right now. I don't have any other job. I get up every day and I work on this. And I will continue to do that for as long as I possibly can.
So I try to be charitable with how I take things. Obviously, you're going to say, Kira, I've just watched this whole video and you've not been charitable. The problem is that I am aware of all the text and all his voice that I've heard for years and all the people I've spoken to. So obviously I'm going to have like a bias in terms of like when he says something which just cannot possibly logically make sense in my brain. Maybe there's something he could show me and something he could say where I'd be like, okay, now this makes a lot more sense and this other stuff is easier to believe. And when you said this thing, it was actually, I was wrong on that or whatever else. But I will be charitable and say, if he is going to do this and he's making no other money and there is a pure motivation of delivering the game, great, amazing. But it doesn't change anything about what's happened. It doesn't change what opinions people should have, especially those that gave you money. And I think, honestly, the entire idea of like, oh, I am definitely going to deliver this and I'm doing it because my integrity demands that I do so. It would sound great if you would back it up with something, like just one little bit of good faith of just showing people that they're not wasting their time. And if they give you a second chance to stick around and trust you, that you're actually going to do right by them. I just don't see it. It's very easy to say you're going to do stuff, but that's all you've ever done. That is literally all you've ever done. You've said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And those things have never materialized in any meaningful way that somebody can touch. All of this is completely ethereal in terms of like what people know exists or whatever. So I don't know. It's just too much at this point for me to believe pretty much anything.
So yeah, again, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just saying that's the facts. I am going to continue to work on this, and I will deliver what I can as quickly as I can.
Do it then, mate.
Easier in some cases than others. But anyways, the last thing that I wanted to address on that, somebody started to say something, but I wanted to respond. There was one more thing that you had mentioned that I wanted to address. You're commenting on how people on the internet were, doing something in a week or two, and that I was going to say that there's a lot going on in the background, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, I'm not going to, actually. I'll just say that there are some very talented people out there. And I think that it's great that they're able to do some things in 2 weeks. And then I'm sorry that people look at that and go, this company could do it, so clearly this one can't, and they make a comparison over that. I also think it's unfortunate that there is this kind of continued idea that being able to do that in 2 weeks somehow means that they're going to be able to do the rest later.
So fucking glass in my foot. Holy shit. I moved my toe on the ground and felt it cutting me. The fuck? Where's that come from? Holy shit. Yeah, I'm bleeding. Good fucking times.
I don't have an argument for that other than, you've probably heard of the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work actually takes place in the last 20% of the effort, or 80% of the effort takes place in the last 20% of the work. It's really easy to throw something out in 2 weeks, especially if you don't care about exception handling or networking or speed or performance or serialization or the ability to distribute over a large number of players, or you can make cool things. It's awesome. But then when you try and introduce those things, yeah, it takes longer. That's fact. That's not that shouldn't be surprising.
This argument is obviously true, but you saying it is completely tone deaf to the fact that if somebody can spin something up in 2 weeks and it looks the same as what you spun up in however long it took you to make those stupid jumping puzzle trials and whatever else that nobody cares about and isn't an actual game. Yeah, there's all this other complex stuff you've got to do, which you allegedly did, and you were doing for 6 years, even longer now. It's been what, even if you go from 2016 till 2023, let's say you've been doing it for 7 years, you've not shown anybody anything. So surely, if something takes 2 weeks and somebody makes what you showed us, if it's way more complicated, surely you'd have something to show us with 7 years versus the 2 weeks. How can you make this argument when you've not shown anyone anything? It just makes you look silly.
Everybody who's
or maybe you expect that the audience of listening to this is silly.
Any industry knows that the last 20% actually takes the most amount of time, and so that is a truism. And so, I mean, all I can say is yeah, I think it's great that those people are able to do that in a couple of weeks. I apparently cannot do that in a couple of weeks. It's taken me years to build Kingdoms of Elyria and the distributed entity component active system and the networking layer and the serialization code and all those different things, which you probably can't see. It's taken me time, and I can't. All I can say is I'm going to keep working on it, and it'll take me as long as it'll take me. And if people look at these other people and say, hey, it only took them 2 weeks, you suck, all I can do is say, yeah, okay, I suck. But I'm still the one that's trying to make this game for you, and they're not. Also, they also haven't shipped Chronicles of Elyria. So if it's super easy for them, I mean, I can talk to them, and have them come talk to me. I'm happy to license it to them, and they can develop Chronicles of Elyria. Because for me, all that matters is that you guys get your game. That's the only thing that's important to me. That's what I set out to do, and that's what I want to happen. But in fact, I tried to sell the company in 2020, or rather, I tried to get it acquired, but nobody would buy it because there was a lawsuit. And so the ability to actually get somebody to come in and make sure the game got finished became a poison pill. And in 2019, I even hired a new CEO to take over for me because I was like, I'm a great developer. Don't feel like I'm.
So I guess So what I heard was obviously that Xsola was shopping the game around. I didn't hear that Caspian was shopping the game around. So I don't know if there's a disconnect there between what this source would have known and what he's saying. I don't know where the line is or whether both happened. Who knows?
The best leader and CEO, so I need help. And again, I don't need to be the guy on top. There's this perception, a misperception that I don't want anybody coming in and helping, or I don't I have to be the guy making the decisions and all that. That's not actually true at all. I really just want to see you guys get your game.
Okay, this is a good time to end it. We've done an hour-long reaction to 29 minutes of this. And he's just took a break. So we're going to end this here. If you guys want to see the rest of this, fuck knows why. Maybe you'd find it interesting. Let me know in the comments, I guess, and maybe we'll do it. And also, again, gamer subs. This shit's actually good. I'm drinking sour apple, which is nice. You can also get great flavors such as anime girl thigh, which... why would you not want to drink something called anime girl thigh? Or if you are a manly man like me, you can get some titty milk. I don't know if you can read that, but a little bit of titty milk never did anyone any harm. You know what I mean? I'm drinking sour apple currently, which is actually a banger. 10% off code in description. Click the link, go check it out, sample if you want to try them out before you buy. And yeah, more Caspian maybe to come. Second channel content will resume now. I'm feeling up to making some reactionary content. I don't know if on this channel or on another channel, or maybe I'll make a third channel for whatever reason. I'm probably going to do a bit more social commentary, look at videos that are a little bit more mainstream, not gaming, not crypto related, and just talk about, you know, real world, real life stuff, my opinions on things. Don't know when that's going to happen. Might be tomorrow, might be today, might be in 7 months. You never know with me because I'm inconsistent as fuck. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed. And yeah, Patreon, sponsors, affiliates, all stuff, Discord, video description, and see you next time. Peace. Oh, I didn't say friend knows this video.